strengthened over the past years through her stay in broadcast giants ABS-CBN and TV5. She brings her learnings from media into PR, aiming to further amplify positive and inspiring stories. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Michelle Orosa-Ople.
Hi everyone! Okay ba kayo? Sige nga, how many here are from companies? Great. How many are from agencies? Yan, okay. Balance tayo dito. Okay, so this is my talk for today. Thank you for having me here. I'm really honored to be able to speak to a lot of you here today. A lot of you mga iniidolo ko pa lang sa PR. A lot of you I've been able to work with back when I was a reporter. So I hope that we will just have a really good discussion here on what we can take from media, reveal some trade secrets, and what we can apply into our own communications team. So this is the title of my presentation. It's called From Newsroom to Boardroom, Forming Your Communications Team and Keeping Them. Isang challenge talaga dito sa private. See if this clicker works. Yeah, I know. Okay. So who am I first? Why am I here? As mentioned earlier, I was a journalist for most of my life. So this is actually just year one for me into PR. But I have worked with a lot of PR firms and a lot of companies throughout the years. And actually here, this first picture, that's my favorite, one of my favorite coverages when I was a reporter. That's in the Malampaya gas field in Palawan. So super larger than life story. And it defined the moment for me. These kinds of stories. I think my Leland is here also. Yan, yung mga ganitong klaseng storya, they would bring us to Angat Dam, show us the water sources. And I found myself thinking once in a while, I said, bakit ang dami, like, karamihan ng binabalita ko, or 50%, 90% of what would pass for news in the newsroom would be bad news. Right? But there were stories like this. There were positive stories that needed to be told, that wanted to be told, and were fascinating to be told as well. So I was telling myself, it was a turning point for me. I was saying, what am I doing and how can I do it better? I spent a few years after this was I think 2015, trying to get more feature stories in, trying to tell more business stories on a more personal level for our audience, because I believed in what the companies were doing. Fast forward to today, I am in PR. I'm the Media Relations Director for Ripple 8. My orange wig dyan on the right most because of my husband. He helped me do this deck. Yeah, that's Carlo over there. Sabi niya, para daw mabuhayan kayo at magising kayo, mag-orange wig ako dyan for you guys. But I still do have, in the middle, I still do have my radio program. I still do have one foot in media, and it's my advocacy because we created Oplan Ascenso every Saturday po, 12 noon to 2 p.m. so that we could talk about business news and, again, bring it down to people and show them what matters really in this country. Wala here yung picture, but I am also an SLW. I'm a super lucky wife to Carlo Ople. Over there, he's my husband. Kaway ka naman, babe. Ayan. Sino yung nasa PRSP? Binabawian ko lang siya kasi SLH daw siya, husband. So ako naman, super lucky wife. So out of all of those hats, that's the most important one to me. And also a lot of the motivation that I get is from the discussions that we have because he's in a corporate company as well. Next slide. Okay, so my presentation is about going from newsroom to the boardroom. When I came into PR, I realized that most of the messages that we create, tama po ba, galing po sa boardroom. The bosses want a certain message said, the bosses want certain key messages told to the media, and then it's brought to the newsroom and it's processed, or even brought to the teams first, and then processed, and then brought to the media. But I believe that it starts with the team. It starts with the newsroom. It starts with your comms team. If your comms team has the proper mindset, if your comms team has, if your newsroom, your internal newsroom has the proper tools set, you'll be able to tell any story, and you'll be able to be prepared to even give advice to the boardroom on how the messages should be told. what messages can be told and which messages let's just not talk about, diba? So I think that if you were first a newsroom before going into the boardroom, then you can be partners with your directors, with the people in charge, to be able to tell powerful stories that would be relevant to the ones, to your audience, to your customers, to your stakeholders, to your stockholders, not the other way around. So this is the thesis that I wanted to work with today in the next couple of slides. So actually here, on the right side, that's our small newsroom in TV5. It's part of it. The reason why I put that group fee in is because media takes so much time creating the team that communicates. In this picture, there are producers, there are desks, there are editors, and then there are reporters, and then the anchors. The only things that we see on TV or even in the newspapers are the reporters or even the anchors. But really, the confidence in communicating the messages that they do comes from the fact that they have built a solid foundation inside their newsroom. So, solid po ang comms team nila. And I wanted to take those lessons that we've learned from the newsroom, from the actual newsroom, and even what we're doing in Ripple 8 and in the DDB group to hopefully be able to come with that sweet spot where we can create comms teams with purpose and really be able to see what kind of mindset they should have so that every message, para matapos na natin yung PR lang yan, di ba? Narinig ka na ba yun? That's just PR. We won't put that in our newspaper, we won't put that in our publications or in our blogs, but really, those PRs, those press releases that we write, there is a way to tell the powerful story, and it starts with a team. So yun, my thesis would be from newsroom to boardroom. Okay, next slide. This is Ripple 8, so this is the comms team of the DDB. The entire DDB group of companies, actually, it's the sole public relations arm. So within our organizations, we do have that assembly line. We have mirrored more or less, actually any agency naman or any comms team. You have your editorial, you have your creatives, you have your media relations, binabakbakan. Kasi kami yung LR. And then you have your accounts, right? So dito pa lang, we're able to already form an assembly line of sorts. Be able to form a system of sorts to be able to say, okay, any message that you have, whether it's the best of news or whether it's the worst of crisis, we will be able to handle it because we have the foundation in place. Next slide. This is my media relations arm. It's just very lean force. Median age is 25. So it's a very young team, but again, we've been trying to instill that in them, that feeling that, okay, whatever we're talking about here is important. There's no just announcement PR. There is no just for bulletins of the newspapers. Everything that we want to be able to talk about has relevance to the customers of the clients that we serve and the companies that we cater to and partner with. Next slide. So how do we do all of that? How do you create that kind of comms team that will weather any storm and will stay with you for a while? One of the questions that I had in my head was, how come in media, with the salary that they have, the conditions that they have to go through, why is the minimum tenure at least 5 years? But how come when you go into corporate, 1 year pa lang, alis na, hanap na ng ibang company or hanap sila ng ibang ahensya, right? So the following slides will help us determine what can make them at least stay, what can make them understand. The first would be have a clear purpose. If there's anything that I would want you to remember from this entire presentation, it's this, and that's why I put it on the first slide. Next, right. The media here are fueled by a sense of purpose. A huge purpose where they feel and know that they are serving the public good whenever they tell a story, whenever they expose a certain problem, or whenever they shine the spotlight on any issue. That kind of purpose, that kind of mindset will weather them through any typhoon, through any disaster, through any corporate event, or even through any political storm. They would go through anything for that, no matter how physically tasking it is. So, grabe, diba? Actually, any journalist, even the millennials, we talk about how different millennials are, or Gen Z, or anything, but really, any of them that watch TV or look at the newspaper want to be a journalist will stay, regardless what we think they like, right? It's because of that purpose. If you have a clear sense of purpose, then it will fuel any task that you will do. And hopefully, within the next couple of slides, we're going to be able to break that purpose down into something quantifiable and something that's replicable in your organizations. Next slide. Because this is what we're this is what we're actually up against. This is a picture of travel, escape, relaxation, and it's not just millennials really. There are a lot of people who are just so tired of the daily grind that they want to go on vacations and they want to just stop, to retire early, retire at 30. The age is getting younger now actually, and just stop. And what happens then? We lose good people. Right? We lose people who could have contributed a bit more, not just to the agency or not just to the internal comms team, but to the public that each company represents, each company serves, right? And this is a tough opponent, really. This is a tough opponent because rest and relaxation is something we all want. But hopefully in the next couple of slides, we'll be able to talk about how we can evaluate and balance being able to give rest, being able to give incentives, and being able to fulfill the bigger purpose of our comms team. Next slide. Purpose. So one of the things that told me I was doing the right thing was when I entered Ripple 8, that's what was written on our wall. It says, start a ripple effect of positive change. There's honesty, integrity, and transparency. That's written in really colorful chalk on the big black wall on the entrance of Ripple 8, so that no one mistakes what the purpose of anyone in Ripple 8 is. And that's what sold it to me, actually. I was thinking about where to go after I became a reporter, and when I saw that, it was so aligned with what I actually really wanted, that I said, that's so clear. I think I'll go here in Ripple 8. And I love seeing it every day. Aside from it being our photo wall, it's also a reminder for me that we don't want just positive change. We want it to be expanded. We want that ripple effect. We want it to be felt wherever we go. And that's the clear purpose that everyone in the office can see, even the boss. So all of us hopefully are aligned with that. So second is more quantifiable. So I'll move from the purpose to the systems and the metrics. And this is something that I'm moving from the media side, which is fueled by blind purpose actually, and really the public service battle cry, going into the metrics of it, which I appreciate from the agency side. So the second is establish the system for hiring. First is have a clear sense of purpose, and then establish the system for hiring. Hire for attitude, train for skill. Have you heard of that? Has everyone heard of that? Yes, okay. So how do you hire for attitude? Next slide. Sing. Next slide. Ranji Charya, the president and managing partner of TDB Mudra Group, said, find and support good people. Good people will in turn find and support good ideas, which we all want, and goodness will return itself in wonderful ways as long as you search for it. Ang sarap, di ba? Ang sarap pakinggan na you can use the word goodness when you look for good employees. And it's critical for people in the comms team to have good character. Actually, even in the media, do you know that in Reuters or even on CNN, they don't hire you if you graduated from journalism? That was one of the hard lessons I learned when I first heard of it, actually. They hire you if you have an expertise in, say, economics or political science, and if you want to tell that story. If you have that character, if you have that tenacity to be able to say, I want to go from what I went to academically and tell that to the people. They said it's easy to teach everybody how to communicate, but it's hard to put that heart in, right? It's hard to put that heart of wanting to tell that story to other people and making it relevant. So you hire for the goodness of that heart. You hire for the will to be able to tell the story, no matter how good or bad it is. It's crucial in the interviews that you're able to extract that from the people. And if you already have your comms team, find that within them. Have a discussion later on. What's in your heart really? What do you want to happen? Why are you here in this company? Extract that character and extract that goodness. because it helps you find that purpose. Second, next. Train for skill. After the character, of course, skill is important. Next slide. Next slide. Wendy Clark, the global CEO of DDB, says, the opposite of transformation is standing still, and that's lethal to an agency. Lethal. Fatal. So, just as media are always dynamic and always having seminars here, abroad, shifting, di ba nakikita nyo naman sa mga Facebook ng mga reporters, they never stop learning because they want to be as dynamic as the industry that they serve. So here as well, in our comms teams, invest in the training, invest in the learning. There's no such thing as wasted learning, really. Whether it's something like what we do in 888, it's called Freedom Fridays. We allot a day, at least once a month, to be able to just bring someone in and just talk. Talk about what's happening in the industry, talk about new practices, talk about new tools, or really anything under the sun. So that we'll keep thinking. Hindi lang yung punta sa office, okay, sulat ako, and then uwi, right? I just go day to day. We want to avoid that because if you're communicating things, if you're communicating services that constantly move, you can't afford to be static yourself. Next slide. The Burn Back School is one of the things that DDB invests heavily in. So this is us, me and my classmates. I just took it last year, just a few months ago actually. Talks about leadership this time. Talks about values and all of these character building things that you can create for your team. And it was, for me first, I was like, okay, I work with media. Why do I have to go in deep into management at this point in time? But actually, the four-day intensive seminar helped me define my purpose in where I was, define the purpose of my teammates, and also create new strategies to be able to move our agency forward. So that kind of training, it was such a privilege to be able to do that, and it was such a nice thing to know that the agency was investing in that, in those 4 days. And I think that in our comms teams, whether you create that, whether it's a Freedom Friday or whether it's a really long-term training session, keep learning and keep moving. And train for skill. PR is such a dynamic industry. There's a traditional way of doing it, there's a new way of doing it. There are so many ways to allow customers, to allow media, to allow stakeholders to experience the stories of the expansions of our companies, of the projects that they create, of CSR, right? There's so many stories to be told. And so if we don't allow ourselves to be trained for skill of storytelling, many times over, with social media, with new tools coming out, can you use your phone to tell a story? You can. And if you invest the time to develop that skill, then that would be very beneficial for your comms team. Next. The third is use clear metrics for evaluation. This is also something that we do over at 888 and the entire DDB group, really. Next. The boys, even in media, there are evaluations every year, right? And especially in companies, every year, yeah. It's important, and it's not just so that, okay, I just want to get through this data research, survey thing. It's really so that everything can be measured. Is the purpose clear to the people? Are they understanding what mindset you want to what mindset you want to imbibe within them? Are they understanding the management? The voice survey is something that we take every year, and it asks questions, the hard questions, like, do I see myself staying here for the next 5 months, 6 months? Do I see myself staying here for the next 5 years? Am I comfortable bringing my whole self to work? Very feelings, no? But those are hard questions, and it evaluates whether management and even the supervisors are able to translate the mandate on them to the others, and at the same time able to give them that kind of sense of purpose. Is it something that's being absorbed or not? Are we effective in communicating that to the comms team or not? Are they happy communicating for our brands or not? And these are hard questions, and these are things that are very much measurable. Culture is measurable. The we learn. James Heskett says, the impact of culture and performance can be measured, and it's even more essential than strategy. And Peter Drucker also says, culture eats strategy for breakfast, not lunch, not dinner. Okay, next. This might be useful for you guys. This is called the HBDI tool. It's the Herman Brain Dominance Instrument. This is about which part of the brain is active and more dominant for the person. And you want to be able to ideally create a whole brain team. A lot of the blues, which are the logical, analytical, fact-based people. The yellows, which are holistic, intuitive, synthesizing. The greens, which are organized, planned, detailed. And the reds, as a red guapo, interpersonal, feelings-based, and very empathetic. And if you want to create a team, and that will be sort of what I'll be talking about in the next couple of minutes, these are good metrics to be able to measure where your team members fall and why you don't get along or why the messages aren't coming in to them as well. Kasi, malay nyo, the message is feelings-based, it's emotional, and then you have blue people who don't really want to talk about feelings. How do they tell the story if they don't understand it, right? But if you have a whole brain, at least you have people really discussing things and the dynamics being a bit more fresh. Next. And my last point is build a team and not just a family. One of the harshest things I've ever heard when I came into the agency is that we are not a family, we're a team. I was like, kapuso, kapamilya, kapatid, paano? Paano na? I'm not in a family, I want to go home, Joe. But I realized that not just a family. You're saying not just a family, not just people that are complacent and okay, you just do what you want and we'll take care of it if you can't take care of it. It's really essential to have that team where each member knows their purpose. Next slide. I want to share with you a little concept by Douglas Faudet. It's called givers versus takers. You want to be able to form a team and be able to see which ones are givers and which ones are takers, right? So the givers ask, what value can I add? They're naturally generous, they look out for the company, usually always really have energy, humility, and honesty. And the takers, which form 95% maybe of every organization, ask what's in it for me, and usually outnumber the givers, and usually are the ones you should either retrain or just remove, right? Why? Because of course, especially when a lot of people move into corporate, it's not just because of the benefits, it's not just because of the compensation. The responsibility is bigger to be able to tell bigger stories, more meaningful stories. And if you're able to notice the givers from the start, you can train them, you can harness them, you can strengthen them, so that eventually either they, either hawaan nila yung takers, they give at least, rub off good stuff on the takers, or, the takers just go. Takers usually will go. They'll go like, okay, I'm not getting anything here, I'll just leave. You're better off with a lot of givers in your team. What happens when you have a lot of givers? Next slide. You have a happy company. Of course, I'm not saying that every person in this picture is absolutely still in BDB. Some of them have moved. Some of them have decided to create better steps for their career. But as a team, they have good memories here. And we always say that we are a place of givers. If you're not one, you learn to be one. But really, we appreciate each other and how each other adds value to the team. And the team is always there to help cover weaknesses and help amplify strength. This is our picture when we won Agency of the Year at the Quill Awards this year, earlier this year. And it was such a big thing for us because I think it was the first time, in a while that DBB Group won. But it was a source of pride for us because we had given so much and it was nice to be recognized by our peers. But we love this picture because wherever everyone goes, we have that good thing with us that we gave at one point in our time and we were recognized for it. Next. Going back to purpose, next slide, and I would like to end with this. This is my favorite fix your thoughts on what is true, honorable and right, pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise. One of the things that I always kept in my head is that it just feels so unacceptable that an industry where we talk about expansion, development, good news, and positivity is overtaken by bad news. An industry of bad news, alarmist news, fake news even. Diba? So I just want to end with the thought and a prayer that maybe, hopefully, maybe after this one, we can create comms teams that have that purpose in their hearts, really, and that really just don't stay because of what they'll gain, but really because of the greater service that they'll have for this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We have a couple of questions for you with Michelle on screen. Michelle, what are the skills that a good communications team should invest in?
Skills. Actually, lalo na ngayon with the younger generation coming in, I think that storytelling, the tools that tell powerful stories like phones or all the gadgets, it would be great if we would have people in our comms teams who are comfortable with these new ways of telling stories. Number two, can I just say, it's a big advantage if you have someone who is naturally curious and naturally chismoso in your comms team. Why? Because they have such awesome ways of getting stories and knowing which ones will go viral, right? And which ones would like to be told over and over again. So if you have those two. And number three, balance the extroverts and the introverts, please. Sometimes in media, everybody gets all the introverts and then suddenly they don't want to talk and they're all in one corner. And then you realize what happened. If you can pinpoint some extroverts in your comms team, that would be awesome as well. Those are good skills and good characteristics to have so that you can all tell a good, awesome story with your entire.
Alright.
Also the tools that I showed there, those are good tools to invest in so that you can quantifiably say, okay, are we being effective? Like the voice survey or even HPDI, is this the team that's whole or are we too much of one thing?
Alright. And this is our last question, Michelle. What if the employer or company itself becomes a taker? As an employee who wants to give and add value to the company, what advice can you give me?
I asked this when I saw this lesson. I said, what if we're already takers? Because we are usually going to the companies initially putting our foot on the door because there's something good that we'll get out of it, right? And I asked, okay, if the employer first, if the employer becomes a taker, then I think that, well, this is also the answer given to me, there are also metrics in place, or there should be, that should be able to show management that, okay, our employer isn't giving as much as he is taking, right? So there should be that peer-to-peer evaluation. It's your protection, the data. It's your protection to be able to say, we're giving, but he's just taking, or she's just taking credit, taking ideas, and it's a normal story. But again, if you're a giver, if you want to keep being a giver, please do refresh yourself and rest now every once in a while. I think that shouldn't stop you from giving, that shouldn't stop you from giving all the good ideas, and that shouldn't stop you from performing for your company because you're performing for someone bigger. So even if the company itself is a taker, and a lot of companies are, that shouldn't stop a person from just being a giver and giving what he's got. Because at the end of the day, if you leave that company, ang dami mong binigay, you would have still given good to that same company.
Awesome. Everyone, please give a round of applause for Michelle.